This is part three of what the train was straight out. Let's get into it. So opening up, Shin is looking out the window, going over the few weeks he had her so far. You thought this was going to be like the previous world he was in, where he had a grandfather, a grandmother, and friends. He even had someone love. He's just thinking if he could ever get back there someday. This one didn't plan out for the best, and he was finally, and he thought he was going to have a new adventure, a new grand tour. But Reptile interrupting his thoughts. Master Shin, would you like something to eat? He says, no, I'm good. I'm not very hungry. While Reptile leaves, and he begins to go back to the thought, but she then returns. Please, try some, just for me. And Shin's like, okay. Shin's accepts it. He says, it's actually not that bad. He actually somewhat likes it. But then we have mine sells Mosiasu reassuring some and here, but it's unclear what she made out. Mosiasu looks enraged and kind of disgusted. It. Pause right here. Nobody likes Mosiasu, but he did have a good heart at the end of that. He was just easily manipulated. People hated him, but he in the long run he did try to help. He did have a good heart. It's a few certain parts where he just flipped out all over. But back into it, he goes removing his glove, throwing it in front of Shin. Fight me. It's time to duel. And Shin's like, wait, what? Rataya, she's your slaves. There's no way you think slavery is legal here. You think slavery is acceptable. You're supposed to be a hero. Well, Shin says, Rataya isn't a slave. Rataya isn't a slave. She was sick. She was sick, and I wanted to help her. And Melty says, mine says, don't lie. We know the slave merchant you brought her from. While the guards come up and begin to surround them, and Shin starts to get angry, but the guards grab onto her upside. He calls him to calm down a little bit, since he thinks her life is in is in danger, and the king to fight. Orders him to fight. The winner of the games, if Motiato wins, he gets a free rough tire. And what if I win? Huh? You won't. But here's the thing: I'm gonna give you 20 gold pieces if you somehow manage to win. And Shin's like, agreed. And when I win, rough tire will be given back to me. Very very well. As time go by, as time go by, Shin is thinking, huh? Should I reveal more of my strength? This world haven't necessarily been the best to me. Well, I'm doing this for Raptalia. I can't afford anything to hold back. As the gates open, as they both take their places, as Shan opened up as Shan opened up his pocket dimension, pulling out his sword, and they're like, "Wait, what was that? What?" And the other heroes like, "Huh? We've seen this in games before. He can open up pocket dimensions. This isn't like any of the games they've played. It's like none they didn't think it was even possible. It's interdimensional storage if you're wondering. Clearing out from misconceptions misconceptions for the heroes. As as the king says, begin, and Motiatu rushes at Shin while Shin's blocked. As Shin activates his vibration spell, wanted to end this monster fruit, but striking swords, Moriyasu, being tricked to use the back half so as not to cut too deep with him holding back. With him holding back. he cuts through the cardinal weapon. And the hero's just like, wait, what? But it soon to generate. Huh. Impressive. But do you know the folktale between your shield and your spear? Yes, but as I recall, the spear lost that battle because he couldn't break through the shield defenses. As he lets off as Marty also lets off a lightning shot, countering with a lightning javelin. As Shin puts up the meteor shield and Air Force shield to block the attacks. He rushes towards Mosiasu, punching him, and Mosiasu do gets him back. As Shin flips and uppercuts Mosiasu, punching him into a wall. As he activates the shield prison, casting a spell he have used in a bit since he's been here, since he's not wanting to damage his roar much. Since people don't know his unseen power, he lets off his fire spell in it, but not to the point where it doesn't cause too much damage with him holding back a lot, damaging Moriarty's armor, causing it to essentially scatter. As he deactivated, Shin begins to fly up. He begins to fly up in the air, holding back side a bit, but he casts the Sunray Beam and sending it down towards Moshiatu with not only block. I just said not only with Shin blocking it and only allowing it to damage Moriarty a little bit. To the point where Moriarty was on the ground coughing. He could barely stand off the onslaught that Shin gave him. And Shin asks him, "Do you admit defeat?" But then out of nowhere, a magic blast, with Shin not giving enough proper time to sense magic and knowing when people sense magic sorcery in this world, since people are different. He couldn't per se see the attack coming or sense it, at least not yet. And he kind of gets blasted back with a wind spell as he looks up, waiting a little bit, as he sees mine. Wait, she can use magic? You freaking bastard. As Motoyasu comes rushing at him, letting off his most powerful attack, catching Scan off guard, knocking knocking Shin out, somehow managing to knock Scan out since he was still folded and fumbled a little bit, and she and he's upset that this even happened. And Shin eventually he loses the duel, not understanding how this could even happen. He should have sensed the attack coming. He should have felt the malice. Why didn't it work? As he's in his thoughts and sees Raftaya being freed, thinking that she's like everybody else, that she's gonna leave him. As he caught up to what's going on in reality, Shin slaps Raftaya. He says, "I was never a slave. I never wished to be free. But then he abused you. He forced you to fight. He only ever he never forced me to do anything I couldn't do. He was protecting me. He was he was training me up. He was making me strong so I could actually survive. But you shouldn't be forced to do anything. If you if you knew anything about us, you would have left us alone. But Nafumi isn't that kind of guy. Isn't that kind of Shan isn't that kind of guy. You don't know anything about him or true loyalty. If you did, you wouldn't have her by your side. Her by your side. As she goes to console Shin, and Shin's enraged and curses begin to be unlocked. And his shield kind of activates It's Shin not being able to control himself in a rage until eventually leading to Raphtaya calming him down, soothing his soothing his rage, and Shin begins to cry, with him just with him just wanting to go home, with him not wanting to be here, as he thinks about opening a gate spell, and he sensed that he might be able to. With Ren and Isi come down telling Moshiatsu he lost the duel, and Moshiatsu like, wait, what? Shan clearly won this battle. Mind shot and illegal magic blast causing him to get flying back. The nobles agree, but the king ordered everybody to keep silent. With these events per planning, everybody eventually leaves, with Shan falling asleep. They wake up the next morning and recastle. Shin's like, what happened? As Taya gives him a massage he made, and Shin realized he could taste it, and it still tastes good. A few hours go by, and they begin to collect their rewards. For the, for the hero Mosias, we rewarded 4,000 silvers, while Ren and Iski are rewarded 3,500 silvers. We set aside the minimum amount of 600 silvers, but for the cost of freeing the slave, these funds won't be given. And Shin begins to get angry and upset, but Miranda Iski says, that's not going to fly. Shin did Morgan nicely, even they got rewarded. It was Shin who protected Loot. It was Shin who fought aside Loot Village and protected them. And the king says, fine. The minimum amount of 600 silver shall be given, as Shin takes his word, and he leaves with Raphtaya. Raphtaya goes back to the slave merchant, and she wants to get a new curse mark. And Shin like, wait, what are those? Oh, those are colonial eggs, or a gamma eggs. You have a 1 in 10 chance of getting a dragon. And Shin says, a dragon, huh? Even if a loader was quite valuable, a fully grown healthy one could fetch you about 20 gold pieces. And now that I think about it, this demi-human girl is quite good looking herself. If she was a virgin, if she was a virgin, I'd pay for her even more. But I am a virgin. 25 gold pieces. And she's like, wow, 25 gold pieces. That might be worth it. As she looks to him, counting, getting it freed up, it says he's canning relax. As he decides to get a Florio egg, get an egg. And the next day goes by, and an egg happens. With him not knowing, Rasai decided and name it Philo. You mean as Shin says, you mean as in Florio? Yeah, it makes sense, don't it? I mean, I guess. And besides, I think I heard that name somewhere before. I just can't put my name on it. In a different timeline, now Naofumi begins to sneeze. Huh. That was weird. As Shin past the past few days have been feeding us Velodio, and it's half been growing with him unlocking the Velodio shield, or some of them. In the span of 2 days, Philo grows to be fully grown. And the village of Loot, Shan have been helping him rebuild quite possibly, and he even pitched in like 100 silver to work with the construction fees. As soon rough time as soon Mosiyasu and Mine shows up, and Mine proclaiming that the spirit herald is now the lord of this land, and new taxes should be in place. 50 silvers to enter the village, and 50 silvers to exit. And people begin to crowd in rage. As Shin bursts out, Moriyasu! As my responds to him, what are you doing here? This is this is Moriyasu domain. Be gone. Double off your shield. As as Shin responds, Moriyasu, you know how much you even know how much it is to spend a night at the inn here? 1 silver with food and planet. You're charging the equivalent of 100 nights just to enter an Essex village. Enter an Essex village. And Shen's responding, huh, I didn't think about it that way. And Spine says, you have no right to question us. This is mostly active now. Now we going as people begins to get enraged. As Mine's about to command these soldiers to attack. To attack. A weird lady in a cloak shows up. And Mine says, what are you doing here? As she gives Mine a scroll. As Mine begins to get annoyed. Shin, fight us for the right to rule this land. And Shin, he agrees. Parody is going to be a race. What? And guessing he entered West Valorial, and Mosialcho is riding a dragon. As the commander of the race says go, as they set off. Shin pretty much ignoring since Philo is currently fastening a dragon. He noticed that Philo slows down a bit, and Shin thinks nothing of it. He thinks she's just tired, and she happy eating today, so that might be the problem. As as Mosialcho's dragon begins to speed up, then Shin tells Philo to speed up, and she does, but a gaping hole appears in the trap. A gaping hole appears in the trap field. Shin's thinking quickly, crap. Airstrike shield. As Philo jumps, walking over it and avoiding a hole. Avoiding a hole. Each of them going after lap. Eventually, with all gaping holes and magic, he sees Shin decides to cast a spell on Philo to make her speed up a bit. And nobody can pick this up since they've never seen that type of magic before. Leading to Shin to read the race. As Philo turns into her Philo cream form, the big one, Mice decides to say that he cheated, but the cloaked figure woman appeared again and says no, it was traces of magic were on the track, but it wasn't shield heroes or any fifth party members. As mine in the feet, and Shin became the lord of Shin becoming a lord, ending with Shin becoming a lord of Loot Village. As for some of the money he went from Motiatsu, he decides to build him a small base or a small home right outside the fence area of the village. So he sees kind of a lord pretty much a lot of places there. So he decides pitching some rebuilding funds, building some bigger homes, and building up stables. Now that you have a pretty stable base of operations, he can calm and rest. So he doesn't have to spend much more money in. So at least he have a home now. As Philo, as Philo eventually turns into a human girl, Shin is 100% baffled and confused, taking her to the blacksmith to pick up some clothes. Sand goes to the witch. She needs something called magic thread in order to use it to make clothes that transform. As the goes to the witch, he picks up one, making making some magic dread. As she takes her to the same person he did not only did in Canada, I forgot the name, the tailor, and she makes Fito her outfit. And that's where I'm going to end this part right here. Hope you all enjoyed part 3 of For the Channel's Trail Hero. Peace out.